lot due to my own personal situation. Me and my wife. Many families can be in a situation where DSS has a reason to come in. Both our backgrounds could probably been in a situation where DSS could have very well came in and took us from our homes. And one of the situations it did, being my wife. In my situation, I think guardian life is very important to actually look at the situation, because all situations aren't hopeless. I had a very strong role model being my mother, that no matter what the impossible situation, she had still had hope. And the difference between the possible and impossible is really what kind of faith that you have and what kind of hope you have. And a lot of these kids don't have, they may be in an impossible situation or hopeless situation, but they need someone that has enough hope until they can muster up their own, so they can model the situations. And luckily my mother was that hope that allowed me, because I shouldn't have been where I am. Because if you look at just on paper where I should be, it looks like an impossible situation. And my wife knows the situation. There came a time where she needed to be removed from her house, and she was. But she was placed in an environment where she had somebody that did have hope and did see the potential in her. And today she's accomplished things that, given her situation once again on paper, it shouldn't be. She was able to go on and get her bachelor's, her master's, and become a national board certified teacher. But when I look out and I see everything has potential that was created, whether it be a rock, whether it be a person. A rock has potential energy, but it's not released until somebody throw it. And that same person can throw that rock and break your window and be put incarcerated. But that same rock can be a foundation that you can build upon. It can be a foundation for a strong family and then build for a strong community. So I think it was our responsibility to see that these situations, one of the two situations like me and my wife were in, and be able to come in a house and determine where that child needs to be, where they are going to find some sense of hope.
Well, I really love children, and I've always had a desire to work with children, and I heard about CASA from a friend of mine. And then I came and talked with them and found out it was my opportunity to work with the children. I love them, and so I felt that I could help the community, help the children, because so many of them live in such a difficult time today. And by helping them, I was hoping that I would be able to give them a little better insight as to what will help their lives improve. So I came to CASA, and I've loved every moment of it, and the rewards I get from seeing the smiles on the children's faces when things are going better for them.
I decided to become a CASA volunteer because basically it had something to do with my background, the way I was raised, and I figured that I would be an asset to the organization and be able to help kids and parents in need.
Honestly, what inspired me to become a CASA volunteer is the commitment that we have to our children. Me and Heidi, we have 8 kids together, and we are very fortunate in our family. And I saw a need that we wanted to spread our care and our love into the communities of Richland County. And I think CASA was an outlet that we were able to do that.
Right. I wanted to volunteer also because I have a strong passion for children, and I want to make a difference in the life of a child.
I believe a gift that I bring to the families of Richland County is a desire to see kids happy. I think we have we take it for granted when we're in our homes, but there's a lot of pain out there, and I think that a gift that I bring is open-mindedness and being able to learn what I've learned in my family and carry that to families that are in need, that have CASA cases, and parenting skills.
A passion that I bring to CASA is perhaps one of the best attributes that I can bring. I believe it's an organization that's really worth someone's time to volunteer for. It really makes a difference. And when you volunteer for an organization where you feel like your time's meaningful.
I can probably say my most memorable experience as CASA volunteer was my very first time taking the case. Like anything, it's the fear of the unknown. Like you say, you read on paper what has been going on with this child, and it's a 12-year-old boy, and you know his hormones are raised, and all these other things are happening. And you think, how is he going to accept me coming to the house with a teddy bear? And it was a great feeling to know that he wanted somebody he can sit down and talk to, and he was very receptive to having me in as well.
I was working with a grandmother and her grandchild. The grandchild was doing very poorly in school, and I was working with the grandmother to get some additional financial aid, and we went to a place called Turning Pages, and they help parents with GEDs. So she went and got her GED so she could help her granddaughter in school, and it's paid off because they both study together. And every time I tell the story, everybody is just, it gives them warm feelings about it, because here's this grandmother who was raising this child who wanted to help her get through school and realized what an education meant to her.
What is the most memorable experience I've had as a CASA volunteer? Well, I've only been a volunteer for less than 8 months, but if I would choose, I would say the time I talked to my first client, I think she was about 12 years old, and after the conversation, or during the conversation, I presented her with a bear that we give out from the CASA office, and she took that bear and she cuddled that bear, and it just warmed my heart to see that she was expressing some feelings of love.
One of my most memorable experience as a CASA volunteer was actually being afraid. I think initially I was afraid to be a CASA volunteer because I didn't know if I had what it would take to serve the kids. But through the training with CASA, through the staff with CASA, they made me feel real comfortable. They taught me and gave me all the knowledge to be able to carry out the cases and to benefit the families, not only the child, but it was just as important to benefit the mother and the father, to bring closure to that family in that CASA case. And I don't think one experience stood out by itself. I think just the training that we always reflect back to, the support of the staff, is what's memorable to me, because I think that's the most important thing you can have in being a CASA volunteer, is support.